What it do, y'all? We back again with unique looks at the unique house, 11th house. One of the first things I thought about with the 11th house is the atmosphere. Now, the 11th house is an air house. Obviously, it sextiles fire and is harmonious with it. It's sextiles the 9th house in Sag, and sextiles the 1st house in Aries, and obviously it's on the axis of Leo in the 5th house. This is a fixed earth. Fixed air house. The reason I thought of atmosphere when I thought of 11th house is because the atmosphere is the barrier between this planet and outer space. Obviously, the 11th house is the extension of the 10th, and I think this is how I was talking about in the 10th, that Saturn wants you to overcome boundaries and parameters. So once you do that, now you're in the territory of unknown. You've already broken the rules, broken the barriers. Now you're past that. Now you're in something new. This is why the unknownness is heavily influenced by the 11th house. It's the outer space. It's the deep space, the deep mental thought, the furthest known. It's like the furthest known. It's like what is the furthest we know. And then you can look at that as, the cusp of 10th and 11th. And then 11th is the unknown. It's the unexplored. And this is why this house sextiles the 9th and the 1st, because in order to explore the unknown, you obviously need exploration, explorers, an expedition. And once you do that, once you meet the unknown, you become what? You become a pioneer. The 1st house. You become the first to ever do something. I believe this house and Aquarius have a lot to do with electricity, because electricity can be found all over the universe. This if you wanted to sum up this house in one word, it's universal. This house is universal. It's what can be here on this planet, and it can be something all the way on the other side of the solar system, all the way on the other side of the galaxy, all the way on the other side of the universe. This is why this house represents frequencies. There's multiple different frequencies that are here and also in other different places in the universe. This house represents uniqueness. If something's unknown, it's gonna be unique automatically. It's gonna be different. It's gonna look different. Something you've never seen before. And you can look at that as the axis of the 11th and 5th. 5th house is what you can see, is what you shed light on. So you're shedding light on the unknown, and then that goes back to the fire houses. And once you go into unknown territory, unknown thought, unknown places, you become a pioneer in some sort. This house can also represent telepathy. All the air signs represent communication in their own way, but the 11th house is such a high frequency. It's like communicating with different planets, communicating with different, even when you talk about calling somebody from the other side of the planet, that's still kind of the 11th house, like the internet, certain high technology. But the same can be said of with like telepathy. You can communicate with people in different dimensions, different planets, different states of being, even different types of consciousness, talking to animals, talking to spirits, talking to plants, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like universal communication. Obviously, this represents society and humanity. The reason being is because this house represents the highest form of communication. And the highest form of communication, or at least one of the highest forms of communication, is held by, humanity. Not only can we communicate in so many diverse ways amongst ourselves, we've developed many ways and techniques over the years of how to communicate with animals, different types of animals, sea animals, birds. Like, you ever see like people that fly pigeons and doves and like hawks and stuff, and they're able to send messages? I feel like that's like 11th house stuff, because first of all, a falcon and a hawk, those are like wild animals, and you're able to communicate with them on a consciousness level. That's, you know what I'm saying, that's wild. Or if you don't want to say it represents humanity, you can just say it represents high consciousness beings, because a lot of people say aliens are associated with the 11th house. So you can say like high consciousness. And one thing, like another video I'm gonna make in the future is going up and down the density ladder. Like, as we go up, the 11th is a very high density energy, and we're right at the 12th house, so that's like the highest of densities. But whenever there's high density, it's like it gets more mutable. There's different ways of doing things in different types of forms and different types of styles. So like telepathy, like a lot of people, when they think of telepathy, they just think of reading people's minds or just sending communication without the voice, but it can go beyond that. It's think about touch, think about what do you call that, Morse code. Think about that on a higher frequency. Think about text messages. I know text messages are common, but think about that in history. Like, you're reading someone's mind. If you send a text, you may have said it in your head, but think about that. That's within you, and you sent a message in a matter of milliseconds. Something that came up that was very interesting to me is the 6th house is 8th house from the 11th house. So the 6th house of Virgo is the 8th house of Aquarius. And this is interesting because if you look at a cycle, there's a difference between a loop and a cycle. A loop just keeps going in a circle and it never changes. A cycle breaks off just a little bit at the revolution point, so it makes a new cycle. Whenever, like, this is why I never agreed with the quote, "There's nothing new under the sun," because we don't have a loop consciousness. There's different types of weaponry that try to make you live in loop consciousness, but that loop consciousness is not natural. So with every cycle, there has to be a certain alteration. Life is always going to give you the new. It'll never like repeat itself. So this came to me, it was like, okay, if the 6th is 8th to the 11th, think about how Uranus is exalted in the 8th house. So it's kind of like with every cycle, there's always going to be a new manifestation of it. And think about that axis of 11th and 5th house. If there's nothing new under the sun, then there can never be a such thing as unknownness. Think about that. if nothing new can be under the sun, then there should be no such concept of the unknown, because the unknown would be known by now if there was nothing new under the sun. And that's just something like how I feel. And the last thing, you ever hear people call Aquarius the water bear? I found something very, very interesting. The 11th house is 4th house from the 8th house. The 11th house is 8th house from the 4th house. And the 11th house is 12th house from the 12th house. So maybe the reason why they call Aquarius the water bear is because it has a water relationship to all the water signs. I'm gonna repeat it again. Aquarius is 4th house from Scorpio. Aquarius is 8th house from the crab sign. And Aquarius is 12th house from Pisces. It makes it has a water relationship with water. And that just came to me. It's like, maybe that's the reason why they call it the water bear, is because Aquarius has a water relationship to all the water signs. And I just hope that was interesting enough. But I'll see you in the 12th.